other than that, they say, all right. Then they will give you a visa. But if they say, nee, die puta praat van hier bom en die puta praat van daar attack, and I say, no, no, no. This guy is a problem. We can't give him a visa to come to Saudi Arabia. And that is what the job of the service provider is, to do the screening and then to do a recommendation to the Saudi government. On that recommendation, the Saudi government issues you a visa. If you then become a problem in Saudi Arabia, because the service provider did not screen you properly, then the Saudi government keeps that service provider responsible. Now that service provider charges you a fee, and that fee is over and above the visa fee. Basically, the cost more or less of the tourist visa is about 2,500 rand per person. It fluctuates a bit, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less, but generally it will be about 2,500 rand. What the service fee is that the company that facilitates the visa application charges, that is entirely dependent on that company. But they normally tell you the cost of the visa is, for example, 3,000 rand. And then in there they will identify 2,500 rand visa fee and then 500 rand service fee. Now, that is if you make use of that facility. Alternatively, you can go onto the website and you can do your own application directly to the ministry. But you will find that if you go onto the internet and you type in Saudi Umrah visa, the majority of the first websites that come up are all service providers, because that is how they make their money. They facilitate your visa application. They don't guarantee success in the application, but they facilitate it, and for that they charge you a fee. So the application process is entirely online, and there's no need to send any documentation to an embassy, meaning you upload your documents. So you need to have PDF copies of your documents, which would be in an uploadable form. In other words, if you upload the document, they will be able to see the document and read it. So you don't need to go into the embassy and actually take physical documents to them. So it saves you time, and it's much more convenient. But obviously there's a cost involved. So if you go into the embassy, you need to go yourself. It costs you your time, it costs you your money in any event. So you either pay the service provider or you pay for going to the embassy. Okay, so the e-visa also includes mandatory health insurance for your trip. So there is a cost component in the visa fee that automatically provides for a certain amount of health insurance, which means if during your trip in Saudi Arabia you become sick, then there will be a certain degree of basic medical cover for you. It's an built-in insurance in the visa. However, if the kind of sickness that you have or the duration of your stay exceeds that, then you might find that you need to pay in a certain amount of money. Just like how with our medical aids is here. You've got a certain amount of cover. If you exceed that cover, then you need to pay it in. So this, health insurance is exactly the same. You have a certain amount of basic cover. So if something happens to you, you are entitled to the medical facilities. And I can tell you this much, the Saudi medical facilities is from amongst the best in the world. They in terms of technology and advancements in various fields, they have really, made themselves to be able to compete with the best in the world. And they bring in doctors who are considered to be experts in their fields and from amongst the best in the world that also, practice and serve within these medical facilities. So if a person becomes sick there, he doesn't need to worry, hulle gaan seker of my in 'n slagpaal toe vat of no. Very, very top-notch medical care you will get there. So now what do you need to do this application? If you do it yourself, for example, if you get somebody that can help you to do it, you will need your passport, and you will need a headshot or a selfie, like an ID photo, like the ID photo, and you need to have accommodation details, which means that when you apply, you need to already have a reservation. Now, in most instances, again, this also happens online. You get a facility or called bookings.com. So on bookings.com, you can do a provisional reservation. Now, if you travel with a travel agent, They also do provisional bookings, and they use that booking that they have made via their agency to apply for your visa. However, if you make your own application, you first need to do a reservation. Now, what normally happens with the hotels on bookings.com, you make a reservation, and then that reservation, they give you a period of time to cancel it. So they give you a printout also, and you use that printout, which is a temporary reservation, in order to get your visa. If subsequently you cancel that booking, and you are going to stay at another location, then you also need to get a printout of that, because it is very possible that when you arrive at the airport in Saudi Arabia, they will ask you for proof of your reservation. They will ask you for proof at immigration. They will ask you where you're staying. You say the hotel. Sometimes they'll just ask you if they see you know the hotel, or normally if you travel with a travel agent, then he will have those details. Alternatively, if you travel by yourself, because you can do all of these arrangements by yourself also, and you arrive there and they ask you where you're going to stay, and you say, I'm going to stay at that hotel, then they sometimes assume that because you know that you have a reservation. If they ask you where you're going to stay, and you're going to say, I'm going to stay by a friend, that's the problem. Then it's a problem, because your visa was issued on the condition that you have accommodation reserved in Saudi Arabia. So you have to therefore be able to produce it. If you say with a friend, then you would need to be able to provide all of the details for that friend, including a letter that confirms that he is taking responsibility for you to stay with him, because they don't want people to come there, not have a reservation, and then the people roam around looking for places to stay. Alternatively, as happens sometimes, not necessarily from our country, but from some countries, the people come there without renovations, en dan bly hulle sommer net in die Masjied al-Nabawi vir die tyd wat hulle daar is, en hulle gaan bly in die Masjied al-Haram vir die tyd wat hulle daar is. Then they don't have any accommodation costs. So they don't want this anymore. Therefore, when you get there, you must have hotel accommodation details. But for that, as I say, you do a provisional booking. If you're not going to use that booking, you must just make sure that you cancel it online. Because to do that booking, you must use your bank card, whether it is a debit card or a credit card. And if you don't cancel that booking, then they can deduct the money for that stay that you have booked from your bank account. So therefore, if you use it, you go there and you make the payment on the day when you arrive there. If you don't come and check in, they will give you a notification. And if you don't respond, or if you don't come, then they have the right, because that is the agreement. I'm booking you, I'm reserving you, because when you make that reservation, it means that they can now no longer make that room available to somebody else. And if you don't come, it means that they lose money, because they did not have that room available to somebody else. So therefore, they charge you as if you have used that room. So therefore, it's important, if you do make this kind of reservation and you're not going to use the room, you must make sure that you cancel it in time. So what is the general application process? Number one, you must check the validity of your passport, and you must ensure that your passport is valid for at least 6 months from the date of your planned travel. Now, the 6 months you will generally find for any visa. It is actually a general rule for visas. And why is that? If you see that your stay generally is 90 days, it's generally 90 days, that is 3 months. So they have a leeway that if something had to happen to you and you become sick, then it is considered that the extra 3 months would be sufficient for you to receive treatment to recover, so that you will have a valid passport for you to travel back home. Because otherwise, if you don't have a valid passport, then you still need to first go to your embassy in that country and get them to issue you with a temporary passport to enable you to travel, because no airlines is going to allow you to get into an aeroplane without a valid passport. So the validity of the passport is very important. And this is from the date of your planned travel. So it means that the passport's validity must cover the duration of your travel. It shouldn't be that the passport expires during your travel. Right? You must complete the application form. So this is an online application form. It goes basically through the 2 or 3, sometimes 3 or 4 screens in which you have to enter some of your personal information, your ID, your passport, your gender, Ahmadiklas and Khutas. So they ask you various things. It's not a complicated process because they ask you certain basic things. You understand? And then you upload it along with those documentation which I mentioned. All right? And then you need to upload the required documents. In other words, you need to scan and upload copies of it. Now, in most instances today, the phones have a PDF scanning facility on. Because with the smartphones, so you go onto the scan facility of your camera and you scan the document. It is stored in a PDF format, and you can then upload it. Alternatively, if you have a scanner, and you do it on your computer, your laptop, you just need to scan the documents and then upload it, depending on whether you're doing the application on your phone or whether you're doing the application on your laptop. So you will have to upload copies of your passport and any other required documentation, such as, for example, your temporary reservation. All right? Then you need to make payment. All right? Now you need to pay the applicable visa fees and any additional processing charges, as I mentioned. If there's a service provider, the visa, you pay all of that to the service provider. The service provider takes his cut and then he pays the visa fees to the Ministry of Hajj. And then you submit your application. You must submit the complete application for review and processing. So the initial screening happens via the service provider, the visa service provider. They then submit that to the ministry, and they then decide whether or not they want to give you a visa. And you must keep one thing in mind. No country is under any obligation to give any person a visa to come to their country. So if you apply and they decline your visa, they would be within their right to do so. It is not our right that we should be allowed into their country, because they are a sovereign entity on their own. We are applying for permission to come to their country, and they can give permission or they can refuse permission. In most instances, they give the permission, but it is also possible that they can refuse the permission, which is why when a person submits an application to go for Umrah, for Hajj, he must consider this as part of his entry into the ibadah, so he needs to make dua for this. Don't just assume that I've made an application online, so that process is independent from my ibadah. That process is part of your ibadah. So just like how you would approach your ibadah, you need to approach this process. And you need to do so with making dua to Allah Ta'ala, in giving sadaqah, and having good hope in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Don't take the issuing of that visa for granted, because that visa is just as much an invitation from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala as it is an invitation from the Saudi government. So therefore one needs to approach it correctly. And then you receive your visa. Once it is approved, then you will receive your Umrah visa, which will likely be an e-visa. You download it. They send you a document, you download the document and you print it. And then you travel with that document. Alternatively, you save it on your phone. So, and therefore also, all of these documents that you generally use for your traveling, you must have 3 sets of it. One set will be on your phone. The second set will be an original set that you have, and the third set will be copies. So your original set you keep in your bag that stays in the hotel, and the copies you carry with you. So if anything happens with you, the people will be able to know who you are, and they will be able to know what to do with you. And the key considerations, number 1, if you are going to use an agent, then you must use an approved agent. Now, the unfortunate thing is that there's different websites with different service providers, and they all look legitimate. Because the problem is not that you submit your application. The problem is you're going to pay their money. You're going to pay their money, and if they are not legitimate, you're going to submit your money, and then you're going to wait for your visa, and eventually you just don't get hold of them anymore. And then your money is gone. You understand? So therefore it's important that one should try to get advice from somebody who has done this process, so that they can recommend to us a reliable portal or a reliable service provider that one can use. Right? So apply for your visa through accredited online portals or travel agencies authorized by the Saudi government to avoid issues. They will normally say that they are authorized, but even a fake guy can say he is authorized. Now, there is also that the Saudi government also checks regularly for certain websites, and then they will have those websites removed if they are not authorized by the Saudi government. The second thing is that you must ensure that you put accurate information. Sometimes just in the spelling of a name or a number, because when you come in front of the officials at immigration, if there is any difference, then it can create a problem. So if you find that the name on the visa is incorrect in comparison to your passport, it is unlikely, but it is possible. So therefore you must always verify and cross-check that information, because you don't want to come there and that you don't pick it up, that guy picks up, but here your name is with a double E and there it's only with one E. Here your name at the end for the females, very often there's a H, and sometimes the name is written without the H. So those kind of things creates great problems. So you must check that stuff. When you receive the visa, you check it to make sure that all of the information on that visa is exactly the same as it is stated in your passport and your other documentation. So double check all the information provided in your applications is correct, and that all documents are complete to ensure a successful application. And then you must understand the fees. Be aware of the visa cost, which can vary, as I said, because the additional expenses might apply if you use a travel agent for assistance. Why? Because they will charge you a service fee. So as I mentioned, there's the visa fee, and then there is the service fee. So then you get, again, that was the e-visa, tourism, and this is the e-visa for Umrah. So in Umrah, e-visa is the easiest way for eligible travelers to obtain approval to enter Saudi Arabia for religious pilgrimage. So they draw a distinction between religious purpose travel and enjoyment in business. So generally when it comes to the Umrah, so this is a visa that is available. The difference is, as I said, the Umrah visa is more restricted in terms of where you may travel. It is also more restricted in the duration of time, and it is also more expensive, strangely enough. One would think that the Saudi government would want more of us to come for Umrah, but why can they charge us more? Because hulle weet ons wil kom vir Umrah. Because they make the tourist visa cheaper so as to serve as an attraction for people to come. But they know that the people who want to go for Umrah, they'll pay. They'll pay. Why? Because we want to go for Umrah, so they can make the price more expensive. Okay, so this visa is specifically designed for those wishing to perform Umrah. It does not grant you access for Hajj. So the Umrah visa is not the same as the Hajj visa. If they catch you on the Masjied during Hajj with an Umrah visa, you go to jail. Same with the tourist visa. The Umrah and the tourist visa does not allow you to go for Hajj. So the Umrah visa is a single entry visa, valid for 90 days, allowing a 30-day stay. Now remember, I said that the tourist visa is a 1-year period. You can enter as many times as you want with a maximum stay of up to 90 days. The Umrah visa, you can only go once in and once out. The visa is issued, and from the time that the visa is issued, you have 90 days to use it, which means your visa must be issued shortly before you actually go for Umrah. Your visa must be issued shortly before you go for Umrah. It is valid only for 90 days, and when you do come for Umrah, you can only stay for a maximum of 30 days. So you cannot perform 2 Umrahs with that visa, because 90 days and 30 days, it seems like if you divide it, you can go 3 times. No, you can't, because it is single entry. From the time that it is issued, you've got 90 days, and you can only go once, and you can only be there for 30 days. In most instances, our Umrahs don't really cover 30 days. Umrahs normally just cover, 2 to 3 weeks. But the maximum it allows you is 30 days. So if you can manage, if you can afford, and you can, have the accommodation, then you can stay there for 30 days. So you enter, 30 days, you must get out. And you can only do that once. If you want to come again, you must again apply for another visa, another Umrah visa, and then you must again pay 3,000 rand. Now, can you see the difference between the benefit of the tourist visa and the Umrah visa? Because the Umrah visa is more restricted in time and also in the number of entries. Because if you take the tourist visa and you do 3 Umrahs with that same visa, it means you pay 2,500 rand, but you could go for Umrah 3 times. Whereas with this visa, you pay 3,000, you can only go once. If you want to go a second time, it's another 3,000 rand for a visa, and you want to go a third time, it's another 3,000 rand for the visa, and that is over and above all of your other costs. So the application procedure is similar to the tourist visa application. So the application procedures are basically the same. So the cost of the tourist visa is approximately $160 and the Umrah visa is approximately 170. You can see the Umrah is slightly more expensive. So on the conversion, it's about difference between 2,500 and 3,000 rand, more or less. So the Nusuk app, now that is the main app that you will need, and you need to download that on your phone. All right. Now, what is the Nusuk app used for? The Nusuk app is used for 2 things. Number 1, application for permits to visit the Rawda in Medina, and number 2, application for a permit to perform Umrah. So if you want to go in to visit the Rawda, you will have to be able to show on your phone that you have been issued with a permit. And that permit, you go onto the app, and then they will ask you what it is that you want to do. You press Medina. Then in Medina, Rawda visit. Then they will ask you, are you male or female? Are you male or female? Why? Because there's different procedures for performing the visit of the Rawda for males and for females, because they don't go together. There's time slots allowed for the ladies, and there's time slots allowed for the men. So if you press, then you press Mathlan female. Then they will ask you whether you want to add anybody. You can only add females. If you are a female making the application, you can only add females, and if you are a male making the application, you can only add males, because females have designated times and males have designated times. Then after that, you need to select the day that you're going to perform the Umrah, going to visit the Rawda, and then you need to choose the time. And then you need to be there an hour before that time. You need to be there an hour before that time that you have selected. And if you do not come there for that time on that day that your permit has been issued for, then you need to do a new application. And it's very simple. It's a very simple process, because you basically just need to press and select. You open the app, you need to download the app first of all. So you need to have it on your phone. You must have it on your phone. And then you need to select what service it is. You say Rawda, or say Medina, Rawda. Then in the Rawda, male or female. You want to add anybody? Yes or no. If you want to add female applicant, females only. Male applicant, males only. Then you need to select a day. So if you come there and you arrive, for example, on a Thursday, and you know you're going to be there for 5 days, don't make your booking for that Thursday. Because you're not going to be tired from traveling. You don't know how long it's going to take you to get settled into your hotel. Because anything can happen during all of those processes, and then you are not able to meet your slot for the Rawda visit. So if you arrive there on a Thursday, and you are going to leave by the Monday or the Tuesday, then you space your Rawda visit during those days that you know definitely you are going to be there. Not on your first day, not on your last day. In one of the other days. Then you can see on those days what is the more preferred time and suitable for you. Because the Rawda is, you get time slots during the day, you get time slots during the night. But if you indicate that you are female, then the app will only show you the times available during the day for females. And if you apply as a male, the app will only show you the times available during the day for males, and then you can select. Now, when you go onto that app, and the app itself will show you, it will either be green or orange or red. If it is green, then it means that at that time, on that day, there's not a lot of people that have selected that time. If it is orange, it means there's already quite a few people that have chosen it. If it is red, then it means that is basically full, because they try to accommodate only a certain amount of people. So if you press on that time, it might not issue you a permit for that time. So you need to be aware of that to see at what time does it indicate that there's not a lot of people applying. All right? So then once you've got that permit, it will show, and it's got a scanning, you know, the barcode scanning facility. Then what will happen when you go on that time, you must be there an hour before the time, because you need to stand outside in a line, and then they direct you to go through, and they take you in batches. So you need to, there's a scanner, they will come to you, they want to see it, and they just scan it on your phone. And if it indicates on their scanner that this permit expired, they chase you out of the line. And if you nog jou dik hou, slim ook nog hou, kry jy nog 'n pak ook op daai. You understand? So this is how all of these things are now being regulated. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. All right? And then the same way when it comes to the Umrah. If you are traveling to Makkah, you must gauge yourself. Now, in most instances, people, they delay the visit to the Rawdah after they land there. But by the time they go to Makkah, they want to get, because they're already in Ihram, so they want to take the earliest available opportunity to go and perform the Umrah. Now, also, when it comes to the Umrah, they are generally not that strict. So if you indicate on your application, you press Umrah permit, and you choose a day and a time. If you are not in that time, but you are still on the same day, then they will not be so strict as they are at the Rawdah. They'll be a bit more accommodating, but that also all depends on how full the haram is. Because if your permit has expired, and the other thing also, you can only go onto the mataf if you are in ihram. If you are not in ihram, you cannot go onto the mataf. So a person that wears an ordinary kurta, if he wants to go in there by the area where you go to enter for the mataf, they will stop you and they'll chuck you out. So you must be in ihram. Nou bring dit weer die question op van die valse ihram wat hulle mos sê, né? Sy gaan nie eintlik umrah maak nie, maar sy het net die ihram aangetrek because sy wil maar net daar by die Kaaba kom. Allahu a'lam. Moenie vir my vra nie, ek is jou mufti nie. And istafta qalbak, ask your own heart. Your heart will tell you whether it is right or whether it is wrong. Ek bly maar stil op daai mas'ala. So I think this is basically where we conclude. I think this is the last of the slides also. Yeah, that's the last of the slides. Now, the thing is that what I would recommend for you to do is, before you go there, download the Nusuk app and play around with the app so that you can be familiar with it. Because you must apply for those two permits, otherwise you won't be allowed entry into the Rawdah, and you won't be allowed entry onto the Mataf in order to do your Umrah. So from my side, I would like to say, everybody that started with us are not here tonight because we had, some went for Umrah also, I believe. And the other hand also, we had the break last week, which I think just, sometimes if you have a break like that, you just lose a bit of momentum. And also the weather, it's raining, so people, probably found it difficult because hulle vat so, hulle kan maar vanaand seker op die dinge so follow, en Isha is laat, soos maak laat klaar ook. But from my side, I would like to thank each and every person who has attended this class. I really appreciated I really do still appreciate your attendance of this class, and I hope that you were able to take some benefit from the class, that you enjoyed the class, that might have been certain things. Many of this you might have known already, and there might be certain things that we shared that you did not know, so it will enrich your experience. One of the things that, even if you know in terms of Hajj, you're aware that the whole Sawuk thing is gone. Now, what does that mean for us as South African Hujjaj? It means that in future, in applying for Hajj, you will be on your own. So if you don't know how to perform your Hajj, it's your problem. There will be service providers from the Saudi side on that side, and there will be, so to say, guides, but you will not be in the same kind of care as you would have, as we are accustomed to with our previous service providers by way of our Hajj operators. Understand? So you will not have the same kind of attention, and in fact, it is my expectation that before long, people over 70 are not going to be allowed to come for Hajj. It is also my expectation that people who are wheelchair bound will in all likelihood also not be allowed to come for Hajj, because those are the kind of people that needs a lot of special care and a lot of special attention, and this is generally the kind of service that was provided by our Hajj operators, and it was also facilitated by Saudi. But now, because those two things have fallen away, from the Saudi government's perspective, what's essentially going to happen, you're going to land in Medina, they're going to receive you at the airport, they're going to drop you at your hotel. What you do from there is your problem. Then they're going to arrange with you the time that you'll be picked up to be taken to Makkah. They're going to fetch you at the hotel. If you're not there, it is your problem. Then they will put you on a bus, or they put you on the train, they take you to Dhul Khulaifa, you'll put on your ihram, and you'll take you to Makkah, and they'll drop you at the hotel, and then you need to go and perform your Umrah, not their problem. Kyk na yourself. You have to look after yourself now. How you perform your Umrah, en jy gaat in nie by die een deel van die Makkah, en jy loop aan die ander kant uit, net 3 keer om die Kaaba gegaan, niks gedoen nie, not their problem. And then on the 8th of the Hijjah, they will pick you up and they'll take you to Mina. And what you do there after they put you there, not their problem. Then they'll pick you up on the morning of the 9th, they'll take you to Arafah. Wat daar gebeur met jou, it's your problem. They might have somebody there, because I see that they've got applications for guides from South Africa. They might have somebody there that will not be there and give some nasiha and make dua. But then when you go to pelt your jamarat and all of the other things, you are going to be on your own. And in time, the same is going to happen with Umrah. The same is going to happen to Umrah, where people are going to have to apply directly for their visas for Umrah there, and you are not going to have Umrah operators as well anymore. You understand? So that is why the idea behind this kind of class is to make you capable to do this ibadah by yourself on your own. May Allah Ta'ala give us all tawfiq. I'm going to hand over to Buta Shahid. He's just going to explain some important facility that you need to also have on your phone, how you can save your personal information. Ja, ek gaan nou daai doen die van die Masjied se komitee ouens. Hulle wil net geld hê die mense het.
Okay, so inshallah, wat ek gaan concentrate op is maar net die phone. En hoe die mens die phone kan gebruik om jouself te navigate in Makkah of even by jou huis. Right? So, soos Maulana gesê het is, even net daar, hulle gaan jou net drop, en wat gebeur na die is jou problem. So, een van die goede dat ons allemaal het op ons phone is Google Maps. Right? Ek weet of allemaal al geleer het nou om jou location te set. Right? As ons nog wie, as die elders nog nie weet hoe nie, vraag maar wat die kinders. So as jy kom by jou hotel, nou my eerste ding wat jy doen is, pin a location. WhatsApp het na iemand toe, een van die kinders, dat jy weer naartoe kan gaan, dan kan jy net weer klik op hy location. So maak jy saak, waar mense in die Makkah is, die gaat vir jou vat na jou hotel toe. Jy kan net even net wys vir die taxi driver, en hy gaan net follow die route na jou hotel toe. Right? Die ander important ding is, en daar gaat nie meer agents wees wat na ons kyk. So, jou phone gaat ook jou lifesaver wees. So, as mense hulle phone het, gaat net na jou settings toe. Right? As een mens in die settings in gaan, dan kry jy mens iets wat sê, safety and emergency. Right? As 'n mens daarop klik, dan is daar iets wat sê emergency SOS. Ons vul almal daai information in daarso. Die kwaaiste van daai is, ewen hier in die Kaaphoek, as jy siek raak, jy druk net 3 keer jou power button. Maar okay, dan die unfortunate ding is, dan moet airtime wees op jou phone call tyd. Nie net WhatsApp of so nie, dan moet airtime wees. Jy druk, depends op die type of phone, as either 3 keer of 5 keer druk jy jou power button, dan stuur jy automatically 'n SOS uit na die mense wat jy listed het in jou list van SOS contacts. Hy gaan vir die persoon stuur 'n message, het gaan immediately 'n recording vat, so as hy sê ek is siek, dan gaan hy die optel en die information gaan na die persoon toe stuur. Hy gaan jou location waar jy currently is, nou makla net, sy word gehijack, 5 keer druk jy jou button, dan gaan daar SOS na jou familie toe. So it's klomp dinge wat het kan cover. Die ander ding is ons het normally 'n lock op ons phone. So as ek nou daar kom en ek het jou phone, die paramedics of whoever, hulle gaan teen jou phone kom nie, because hulle het jou fingerprint, as jy nou fingerprint gebruik, kan jy jou vinger vat en 'n druk. Maar sê jy nou 'n code op of 'n pattern, hulle gaan nie kan inkom in die phone nie. Dan al wat hulle doen, hulle gaan net hierso en dan sit hulle net hier onder wat, sodra jy slide, dan kry jy mos die phone, die keypad. Nou onder die keypad is daar iets wat sê emergency. Dan sê hulle emergency information en dan kan hulle al jou information kry with regards to jou. Die goede wat 'n mens invul in die emergency information is, right? Emergency information is jou blood group, which is very important as 'n mens gaat travel. Kry by die dokter om te check wat is jou blood group, sit hy in, because in case they need a blood transfusion, weet hulle immediately wat is jou blood group is. Allergies, baie important, soms weet jy, gee mense vir jou iets, hulle het nie geweet jy allergic to penicillin of peanuts of whatever nie. Die dokters kan hier opkyk as hulle immediately sien wat jou allergies is. Heart conditions, your medical conditions, daar is allemaal goed is wat 'n mens invul hierso in terms of your conditions. Allergies, blood type, medication, baie important, wat soort medication is 'n mens op. So, selfde ook daar so as die emergency service by jou kom, hulle gaan die information kan kry, as sien hulle, okay, jy maak hier, is die diabetic of metformin of whatever die goed is wat 'n mens op is vir jou specific medication. Dan is daar ook, is die organ donor, yes or no? You know, ek weet nie of hulle daar sommer die organs gaat uithaal van jou, as jy daar op travel is. But hy kan 'n mens ook specify. En dan is daar non-specified goed is bijvoorbeeld, is die asthmatic, you know, allemaal type of goed is ook, sodat hulle weet hoe om vir jou te assist met die. En dan very important regels, well it depends op die phone ook, dan is daar emergency contacts, right? So, as hulle need om vir jou te contact, nommer 1 is, jy sit in jou contacts wat hier in Suid-Afrika is, maar as jy iemand het wat saam jou travel, sit die persoon se contact ook in met die Saudi nommer, sodat het gemakkeliker is vir hulle om vir die persoon te contact, ek kan hulle die persoon phone, kyk, die persoon het siek geraak, die persoon is in die hospitaal, wat 'n hospitaal, you can meet him there. Right? Ek dink dat is in terms van die information. Die ander ding wat baie mense doen is, information is baie critical, right? So, soos Maulana gesê dat 'n mens kry apps op jou phone nowadays, cam scan is iets wat ek baie gebruik en advice vir mense. So, jy vat 'n foto van jou paspoort, jou ID document, travel documents, en die word allemaal geconvert na PDF. E-mail het na 'n family member, right? Nou, mag Allah bewaar dat hy sit so huis in gaat gebeur, daar gaat die plane af, jy het nou al jou documents gesit in jou overhead luggage, daar by jou is by jou, maar daar gaat die plane af in die water en sy kom uit die plane, dit allemaal is in 'n bootsie, niks luggage saam met jou nie, daar is niks documents by jou nie, allemaal die documents, certified of nie, certified documents by the way, werk nie vir overseas, right? So, jy vat die die documents, sy e-mail het, kom het so survive, alhamdulillah, sy need nou jou passport information of enige information. Sy kan either naar een internet cafe gaan, log into jou, en dat is baie important mense. Meeste van die mense weet nie wat sy hulle Gmail account details sê. Hulle password especially nie. Hulle het het aangesign 3 jaar gelede, nooit weer daar ingegaan nie, en oh, wat is my password? Create maar 'n nuwe ene. So if you create a new one, onthou die password, so as dit daar is, dan kan sy na die internet cafe gaan, die e-mail wat sy gestuur het na die persoon toe, kry sy al die copies, hulle kan dit daar print, at least het sy 'n photostat copy dan, van die paspoort. Of, alternatively, phone die familielid wat sy na toe gestuur het, en hulle kan dit dan e-mail vir die persoon of die authorities wat die type of information require. Ek dink dat is al wat ek kan praat nou in terms van hoe mense so cellphone kan gebruik om jouself te help die kant. En baie important, especially soos Maulana gesê het, by Mina, jy weet nie waar jou tent is, jy sien net 'n klomp wit tente. Location gaat important wees, weet jy nie want op sy moet gaan nie, sê jy dit Mina tent en dan loop jy maar soos jy daar moet kom, inshallah.
Somebody that had to come to the tent, they were communicating with me, so I sent them a location where the tent is. Then something happened and I had to leave the tent. And as I was moving around on Mina, het my location had changed en hulle het die hele Mina plat geloop agter my aan. You understand? So that was no, because ek het die location, I shared a live location with him instead of just a location. So the live location is that wherever you go, that location moves. So soos ek die hele Mina voorgegaan het, het hulle ook die hele Mina plat geloop en Allah weet beter. And so that is why, soos ek sê weer, die technology en die wit mense goed, you know, ek dra nie baie kennis af van nie. Ons stryk maar, ons leer ook maar soos ons aangaan. So, but it is important in the times that we live that we should have a basic, you know, workable knowledge of it. So may Allah Ta'ala give us all tawfiq. So I don't know if there's any other questions before we conclude with dua. Any questions? Inshallah, I'm hoping to do this course again. Perhaps, I mean, I've also learned a lot in presenting it, and then there's more that we can add and, you know, and make it a bit more refined perhaps. But because you're going into the summer months, it won't be in the evening. You understand? We'll probably look for a time either on a Saturday or a Sunday, either the morning or the afternoon. Inshallah, we'll see what would be a suitable time, you know, to accommodate for the people and also obviously myself, because I also have a family and stuff.
Een ding, Maulana, is wat ons nou laatst op Umrah gewees het, toe iemand van my vrou gesê, die Nusuk app, specifically vir die Rauda visits, na Fajr, dan gaat het sometimes open en dan kry sy, soos hulle, sy het gelukkig gekry een slot. Toe kry sy gelukkige slot en toe kan sy gaan op in die Rauda ingaan. But al wys het heel week al great, hy is daar wat sy daar is, en is het nie available en die oggend na Fajr, daar kry sy een slot. So mens moet gebruik die.
You have to check that, yeah. So alhamdulillah. But also the Nusuk app also, they've been made quite a number of improvements to it. Anyway in Saudi with the tourist visa, it is the Umrah visa that is restricted only to Makkah and Medina. But the tourist visa, you can go to other places also. But look with the no, only Saudi. Because it is a visa that is issued by the Saudi government, so you can go anywhere in Saudi Arabia. You can't go to if you want to go to any other country, you need to apply for a visa for that country. You can apply for it. So for example, if I want to go to like for example, if we go to Palestine, then we need to get a visa when we get there. But that visa only allows us entry into Palestine. I can't use that visa to enter into Saudi. Every country has got its own visa requirements, and they normally have agreements with different countries. So that is why, for example, for certain countries, we need to apply for a visa before we travel. Other countries, we get visa on arrival. Some countries, we need to pay for visas. Other countries, we get the visas for free. So So it's all just a matter of the arrangements between the different countries. Jeddah is eintlik pad van Makkah nie, but because of the miqat. Jeddah is not part of the haram, but Jeddah is the miqat from where you need to don the ihram. So when we fly in over Jeddah, we are taking, because Jeddah is about just an hour drive from Makkah. So as you come past Jeddah, you are basically covering into the area where you need to don the ihram, but you are not in the haram itself. The haram is a bit more restricted, because the miqat is slightly outside of the haram, but it is to ensure that from that point onwards you need to wear the ihram, or don the ihram, and for when you come into the haram area. You see, if it is part of your travel, for example, you land in Makkah or you land in Jeddah. So as part of that travel, because it's a port of entry or exit for you, then you can go there. But the remainder of the other cities, it becomes off limits to you. And it is for example, Jeddah is normally considered part of the travel for Umrah. Taif is outside of Makkah, but it is also considered technically, outside of your Umrah visa. Taif is actually not included in your Umrah visa. Taif is included in a tourist visa, because Taif is not part of Makkah, not part of the. But because it has become so part of the journey for ziyarats, you understand. That is why generally, if you go with the travel agents and they're going to hire a bus to take you to Taif, they actually need to get a permit for that bus to go to Taif. They actually need to get a permit for that bus. You understand? So, but in most instances, they're not so strict on it, but they can give you a fine. One of my teachers got a fine actually, because he had a Umrah visa. His son was at that time teaching in Taif. So he went to Taif. You understand? So he went out of the haram area, because the Umrah visa allows you within the precincts of the haram area. So he went out of the haram area. When he came back, they wanted to give him a fine. Because he was now a groot man and so on, and he could say Arabic praat and so on, to laat hom maar gaan. Any other questions? And again from my side, Jazakumullah, may Allah SWT accept from all of us. And when you do go for Umrah, please don't forget to mention my name when you stand in front of the Kaaba Sharif. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا واغفر وارحمنا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختمنا بالخير واجعل أواكب أمورنا بالخير بيدك الخير والعافية إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم سهل علينا أمورنا. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة دائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة والفوز بالجنة ونجاة من النار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى الجميع وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين جميعا الذين شهدوا لك بالوحدانية ولنبيك برسالة وماتوا على ذلك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك من كل خير ما سألك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من كل شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم والسلام المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. And then last but not least, we are having this buy a brick fundraising initiative here by the Masjied for two reasons. One is that we need to complete this wall, because we need to raise the wall. We've got blocks, but we still need cement. That's the one project. The other project is that we want to extend the Masjid on that side, so as to create more space and facility to accommodate more people in the Masjid, especially for Jumu'ah and especially also for our Eid, because then people have to stand outside. So we want to avoid that. So we are working towards expanding that, but obviously for that we need to raise funds. So the booklets, it comes at the cost of 100 Rand each. It's basically 10 pages in here for basically 10 Rand a brick. So as I said, we don't charge for the class, but whatever you can do to contribute towards the Masjid and the facilities and the running and the caretaking of the Masjid, that will be appreciated. So you can find the booklets with Sali or any of the other Masjid committee people. So we request you, inshallah, try to give your support for this, because the community is growing. So the masjid also needs to grow. Masjid al-Nabawi was a small masjid, and now it's a very big masjid because it had to grow and expand in accordance with the number of people that to utilize it. In the same way, our masjid, we want to have a number of programs and initiatives that we want to run from our masjid, but for that also we need the space. So we're encouraging people to, inshallah, to take a booklet, inshallah, and donate, and also get your family involved, inshallah, and they can also contribute towards it. It becomes a sadaqatul jariyah, because Nabi Sallam also says that whoever builds a masjid for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah builds him a mansion in Jannah. So this 100 rand is part of your contribution towards building a masjid, and in place of that, may Allah ta'ala grant you a mansion in Jannah. Wa akhiru dawana, and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.